Now, the National Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi is now inviting members of the bicameral parliament to explore constitutional changes that could ease pressure on the government's expenditure and help the country manage its ballooning wage bill. Appearing before the National Assembly Budget Committee, Mbadi warned that the economy may not be able to sustain the continuous duplication of roles in both national and county government, which consumes 3.5 trillion shillings of the 4.7 trillion shillings budget on recurrent expenditure. Jimmy Mbogo has more.
The National Treasury is proposing an expenditure budget of 4.7 trillion shillings for the financial year 2026-2027, out of which the government will spend 3.45 trillion shillings on recurrent expenditure, while development will receive 749.5 billion shillings, even as counties take away 495.5 billion shillings. Treasury will, however, set aside 2 billion shillings in the contingency fund. According to the CS, this will lead to a budget deficit of 1.1 trillion shillings, which will be financed through net external borrowing of 225.5 billion shillings and a net domestic borrowing of 890.4 billion shillings.
To realize these fiscal outcomes in the financial year 26-27 budget, the government will continue to pursue a prudent fiscal consolidation anchored on sustainable domestic revenue mobilization through targeted tax policy and administrative reforms, rationalization of non-essential expenditure, strengthened expenditure control, and improved spending.
It is this expenditure that Treasury now says is unsustainable, urging the legislative arm of government to consider reviewing the constitution to save Kenyans from the ballooning wage bill.
I have been a proponent of devolution, and I dare say this, it's not working. I dare say this, it's not working. And you know it's not working. We're only afraid to say because of the politics of the day.
The truth is that this constitution is too expensive. This economy will collapse under the weight of our mismanagement and governance challenges. So we need to be to answer through Chairman Honorable Kainan, you are the people to start initiating some of these things.
The budget is based on a high estimate, high projection for ordinary revenues, and yet the historical facts are that we have not been able to meet even lower targets in the past. So I wanted us to understand the wisdom behind that. Are we living a lie?
The truth is that yes, it is true that we have not been we have been over projecting revenue, I think, although it is not really over projection. I think it is our tax administration system that has failed us.
With the recent US-Israeli attacks in Iran set to have an impact on the global trade, Mbadi says the government will keenly monitor the trend to ensure Kenya is not adversely affected.
If the war is going to continue longer than anticipated, then obviously it is going to have a hit on our economy. And we must now think on how to maneuver our ways. It is going to be like COVID-19.
And as the National Treasury embarks on the budget-making process for the financial year 2026-2027, Treasury has disbursed 20 billion shillings to the Kenya Revenue Authority to boost in revenue mobilization. But amid falling revenues and increased recurrent expenditure, questions abound on whether Treasury is keen on reducing expenditure or squeezing Kenyans for more resources. Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Now, President